Hey everyone, Steve here, and in this video I'm taking a look at this Wrestle Joystick compatible with the PS3, PS2 and PC. Now I don't know how to describe this, but this is basically a fake kind of clone item from, I suppose, China or some other Asian country where they want to produce this stuff. And you can see here that it's got Street Fighter 4 on it, and it's got all the Street Fighter 4 art here. You've got Balrog, Abel and Chun-Li. Screenshots from the game, but this is clearly not an actual Capcom licensed product. It's called Wrestle Joystick, for example, and that really doesn't mean anything. All it has all over the box are different screenshots of the game, the words Wrestle Joystick and the Street Fighter 4 logo. And here on this side, we can see that it's for PS3 and PC via USB connection, and it's also got a PS2 plug. So that's pretty interesting. I picked this up from eBay because there's a lot of these around. I don't know how many made it all over the world, but in Australia at least, there are definitely a few of these floating around. It's just a form factor and arcade stick that I'd like to look at because of reasons you'll see later on. But let's just see the function features here. It supports the PC and various PlayStation consoles, different forms of Windows, 32 and 64-bit. It's plug and play. You can switch between digital and analog mode with an LED indicator for under the working state. The PS key of the joystick can transfer all of PS3. Okay, this is making less and less sense as we go along. Emulate street machine button, metal feeling. Ergonomically designed, softer and comfortable handle feel. Okay, this is the button layout here, not much to see there. We'll have a closer look when we open this thing. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. There's no even brand on who makes this. Maybe the brand is Wrestle Joystick themselves. But anyways, let's open it up. Bit of dust, that's not ideal. And here we are. Ooh, it is dusty. I'm gonna have to wipe this down before I start using it. Oh, there is a manual. That's awesome. Okay, wait. I'm gonna clean this up, and then we're going to take a look at this manual. Never mind, that manual is for a completely different thing that the seller must have just left in there. Okay, so I've gone ahead and wiped all the dust and crap off this thing that I could. And one thing that I have to mention, and one of the big reasons that attracted me to this arcade stick is because, and I'll put the footage up on screen now, this is basically the same shape as a lot of Hori arcade sticks from the 90s and early 2000s. It's kind of that Real Arcade, before they had the Real Arcade Pro, but the Real Arcade series. So it's like a weird, geometric shape, kind of like a hexagon or a pentagon or whatever. And it's got the button layout and these two main action or start and select buttons at the top left and top right. They've also got a new button here just for the PlayStation home button. But yeah, the fact that this is just basically a copy, and even this part down the bottom here, this is where the Hori logo would go, and they didn't even change the mold or fill this in. They just left it here without the Hori logo. So that's just really funny to me, and I thought it was basically a big novelty for someone that looks at a lot of arcade sticks like I do. Taking a look at the stick though, the base itself is plastic. But this thing is decently heavy, like it doesn't feel too cheap at all, but the components probably are the ones that feel cheap. You can see a QC Pass sticker here. It says it was made in 2009, doesn't even indicate. 2009 and probably in June, 6 months. You've got your rubber feet here for just playing on a table and stuff like that. And you've got your screws here. I'm definitely going to take this apart and see how it works on the inside. But yeah, we just got your joystick here with a red ball top. You've got 8 action buttons, R2, square, triangle, R1, L2, X, circle, and L1. Funny thing is this is clearly an Xbox coloration, but they didn't really bother to change it for the PlayStation one. And the branding on this thing just looks so funny and kind of low budget. And they really went all the way with branding it with Street Fighter, even though they probably weren't licensed and are opening themselves up to legal action. This is a wide arcade stick compatible with a lot of different platforms. So the actual cable itself here has a player indicator, and then it's got 2 cables that break out, the OG PS2, PS1 plug, and then a USB plug. I'm not really going to bother trying this out on each of the platforms it says it is compatible with, because who really cares? I'm just going to try it out on PC. Let's get stuck into it. Okay, so you know what this is by now. Let's test it out on the Windows USB game tool. What the heck? That's so interesting. The joystick here, at least when it's in like, I guess the D-pad mode, it doesn't have a D-pad, it just has buttons for the D-pad, which is interesting. What the heck? Oh my gosh, this thing is going crazy. So I just pressed a bunch of buttons and it brought up this weird on-screen keyboard for Steam. It's not going to come up in the video, but that was definitely a weird experience. Okay. Whoa, what is that doing? That's so weird, you see that? This button has like some sort of weird time delay where it stays held for like a second. Everything else is pretty instant, but yeah, this PS button. This is meant to work like analog, right? Is it dual mode? That's totally weird, and you can see here that it's not really going to work unless I use X output or a similar program to create a virtual controller for this, because I don't even have any directional movement. So I guess I'm just gonna have to do that now. I will point out that there is some sort of like cellophane here or plastic covering that wasn't able to be ripped off by the original owner, and only I guess when you remove the buttons could you get rid of that. Okay, so I don't have Street Fighter 4 on my PC, but I've got the next best thing, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. And I've mapped this to a virtual Xbox 360 controller using X output like I always do. But I am going to have to change the controls because, as you can see here, I would rather use these ones, but I mapped this correctly to an Xbox 360 controller, so the default mapping needs to be shifted over. Hopefully that works. And here we are. I'm not really going to do anything too crazy. I might play Alpha 3, that's crazy for me, but still Akuma because I'm not that crazy. The components here don't feel too bad. They definitely feel like cheap and cloney, but they honestly actually feel similar to the real, or to the, I guess, Hori parts that came with the real Hori sticks. You know, I was about to say real Sanwa parts, but those sticks don't have those. These feel like decent clones. They're a little mushy, I will say, but they've got a nice fast action and easy to use. The lever has a nice short throw. Ugh. What the? Nice. Whew, saved it. I like the picture of Rufus and Ken. That is hilarious. I don't know of any other stick that would have Rufus on it. Cool. 2 in a row. That's good enough for me. All right, that's as much playtesting as I think this thing is worth. Let's have a look inside. Hopefully there isn't much to it and I just open it up from these 5 screws. Okay, so I've removed the 5 Phillips head screws, no problems there. Let's lift it up. Try not to take everything with me. Okay, it's not coming up. Why is that? Scratch my nail. Is there some sort of hidden screw under here? Aha! The QC Pass has one last hidden screw. QC Pass sticker has done its job. We can let it go. And here we are. Ah! So it turns out this plate here is actually metal. I thought it was plastic because of the way the underside was painted with that matte black, and it didn't really sound like metal to me, but I guess I don't actually have nails. I should have tapped it a little more sturdily or a little more pointedly. But anyways, nice metal plate that adds a bit of weight to it. But as we can see here, there isn't much going on and the buttons are soldered into the PCB. Now that's not ideal. It means that if I'm gonna mod this thing, which I do plan on modding this thing, I'll have to desolder everything and then kind of start from scratch. But here we are, we have 2 plastic support posts. This is actually a metal base here as well. So 2 plastic support posts, or 3 really. Your joystick here, but it doesn't have any PCBs. It's just directly soldered onto the terminals. 2 little breakout boards for the big start and select buttons. A push button here that's actually directly wired. It must be like a momentary, oh, I just broke it. I just broke this button here, which is totally fine. I guess this is a disassembly video now for that button. But anyways, it is just soldered directly onto the board here. And it is, if you saw when I was testing out the controller on Windows, it is a momentary style button, which means it kind of holds the activation for a few seconds or a second or 2, which is crazy. Glove top chip here, so not really going to find out how this thing works. Those of you who are interested, this is this board revision, version 2.0 of this board, which is interesting. And yeah, I'm probably going to reuse this PCB because it's quite a nice idea to have both PS2 and PS3 plugs here, although I will have to now rewire this switch, but I can make that more sturdy. Gonna get a good shot of this as much as I can, just so we can make sure everything works right. Here are the solder points for the main buttons, the joystick itself here. Nothing too complicated, although you used 2 black wires here, which is against protocol. Yeah, pretty cheap job if I must say. And very interesting, like I don't know how they would manage this kind of cable setup. Like they only have the pins for, I guess, the original PlayStation plug. So I may not actually end up using this PCB, although I would like to. I should carefully desolder this. I'll desolder the buttons first so I can get a good look at the underside of the board here. And then I'll flip it over, document what wire went to what pin, and then I can kind of do a continuity test as well to the plug. And then we can kind of diagnose that. But that is a job for another time. This is just a quick look at the inside of the Wrestle Joystick. The joystick itself, they've just daisy chained all the grounds and all the wires have a connection, so I could probably snip that right now because this is the way it was plugged in. Left to right, it was yellow, orange, red, brown, and then the ground, which just goes to the ground plane of the PCB here. I guess I can just bridge the two and see what direction activates. Actually, what I may do now is remove the joystick now that I've kind of documented how it is wired up. So I'm just going to have a look at how that works. I might have to undo this restrictor gate and then access the screws under it here. But first I'll have to trim the wires. So I'll do that as close to the terminals as I can, or you can kind of actually just break them off. There's Pickles the cat. Hopefully she doesn't go too crazy and bite me. Picky, don't scratch your face on that. I'm really just pulling off the solder joints here. But parts like this brown wire are proving a bit tough, so I will just snip those. And I'll just remove this bits of the black daisy chained wire. Okay, so I've removed all the wire from the joystick. The joystick is probably mounted in under this restrictor gate, so I'll have to remove that. Okay, so I noticed this as soon as I pulled the first screw out, but I've got all of them out now. And these screws are so long that you can tell that they're going to go through this restrictor gate, through the actual points in the switch, into this mounting plate down the bottom. So the stick is probably going to lift up and also fall apart at the same time. There we are, it is loose. I will need to remove the bolt top using the flathead method. Wait a second. Turns out there's no shaft cover on this bolt top anyway, so it does actually just unscrew. Easy enough, great. So this is gonna fall out right now. And there we are, that's the joystick for the Wrestle Joystick. Get the shaft cover off. So it seems that I am now amassing quite the collection of random joysticks from arcade sticks. So that's pretty cool. 4 mounting holes here with the screws. I'm going to have to actually just put the screws back now and then tape this up so I don't lose this whole assembly. Okay, so I'm just going to put the screws back here and tape it up. Okay, nice and taped up for storage and when I can use this again. And here's one last shot of the PCB for anyone that's interested. And then I'm just going to tuck the cable inside until I'm ready to mod this thing. Okay, so I think that'll do it for this video. That was a quick look at the Wrestle Joystick, fake branded with Street Fighter 4. I do think this has potential to be a nice mod case, so look for that in the future. If you've seen one of these around online, hopefully this was a little helpful to you. But yeah, that'll do it for now. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you could like it. And if you're not already, I would love to have you as a subscriber, and please check out the other videos on my channel as there's a lot to see. Thanks again, I'll see you next time.